Good morning, Bill speaking.
Hello, Bill. It's Lawrence Gowan from STYX calling for you.
How you doing, buddy?
Oh, great. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I got to tell you, I'm still kind of coming down from the show we saw last Wednesday here at the Perfect Vodka Amphitheater in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, that was a great night. That was a fun night. Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Oh man, what a great night! I mean, it was supposed to thunderstorm, and that's an amphitheater. So,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
and the weather turned out perfect. It was hot as hell. I got to tell you that. You guys, you come out with your jacket on and everything else. I mean, that thing must be soaked by the end of the show.
Absolutely drenched. Yeah, I mean, seriously, you walk in the dressing room, we all laughed at each other after that because we were actually wringing our clothes out. You could actually twist them and just leave a puddle on the floor. Yeah, but it's weird because it's uncomfortable on one level, but on another level, there's something really inviting about it. There's something really. It feels like you're in a sweaty club, even though you're in a room with a few thousand people.
Yeah.
and that everyone's like pushing through it, and there's something about the heat that I think just kind of makes the show even better as long as you don't pass out.
Yeah, exactly.
Close to that.
And I tell you what the power of this lineup, in the United We Rock tour, goes to show you, because this was a Wednesday night show, and most of the time when I do a show during the week, if you sell out 3/4 of the venue, or sometimes it's a half a house or whatever, but this was nearly to capacity. I mean, if you remember, looking out at the crowd and seeing that big, grassy hill in the back, I mean, there was no room on there whatsoever.
No. And not only that, but I can notice people were definitely jamming up there. I saw a whole lot. There were a whole lot of spirits moving on that hill, so it was a great night.
Yeah, the people like the hill because they can just bring their blankets and their smoke and all their their good stuff, and they just have a party up there. They have a really good time.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been up there a few times. Now I tell you, man. First of all, you're going on like 18 years with STYX already, man. How time flies.
Yeah. I'm in my 19th year with the band now, so I'm closing in on 2 decades at this point.
Oh my God! First of all, where the hell do you get your energy from? I mean, I've never seen anyone, well, except like maybe Jerry Lee Lewis behind a piano or something, have this energy that you have. And it's not only that you're playing keyboards and you're spinning around in circles with this keyboard, but you're on vocals and you're running from the left side of the stage to the right side of the stage. I mean, where do you get this from? Is it the music? Is it the fans? I mean, is it a combination of everything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it energy. It's just connecting to the moment is really what it feels like. And I've never felt great at performing with a band, especially a band with the caliber of this one. Staying still on stage, I've never been able to do that. I just feel like I always loved performers that really used the stage a lot. So I still love Mick Jagger. As old as he may be, he still uses the stage incredibly effectively, as does the rest of that band, by the way.
Yeah.
But as far as piano players go, there's always. I love the piano player, the great moment of freedom when you break away from the keyboard. Mm-hmm. I used to love that when I'd see Elton John doing Saturday Night Fight or Freddie Mercury doing, and all the Queen stuff. When it's almost like it's like you break out of jail almost.
Yeah, you're not so restricted,
Yeah, the restrictions all it disappear in that moment, and it's a moment for kind of a joyous kind of expression of it's an ecstatic moment for a piano player to suddenly break away from it and be able to do that. And even when I'm on the piano, as you say, when I came up with the spinning piano and the people that helped me make it, it was really just so I didn't have to lock myself into one position, but instead be able to kind of engage with the audience. And that's really what it is. It's engagement with the crowd and what they're putting toward the stage. It's a combination of the essence of what's going on in the whole building.
Now,
to me anyway, it's my expression of that. To some people, it might look stupid.
No, I think it works fantastically well. Absolutely. Now, what I really like about STYX is that you guys spread the vocal duties around between yourself and between Tommy and between JY, which is great because it gives you guys a little bit of a break, and the vocals for the songs that you guys choose to do, each of you, is fantastic. I mean, unbelievable. And you get up there and you hit those high notes, man. I don't know where the hell that comes from.
Well, the pants are tight enough that you can get to the
Exactly.
I have to tell you something about Florida. When we left, we did the 3 shows in a row there. Florida is perhaps the greatest place to sing that I've ever been, because the humidity in the air just helps your voice. It's astounding what it can do. And I mean, even Kevin Cronin was very under the weather. He's had some vocal issues, but he got through those shows remarkably.
Yeah, I noticed that now that you mention it. Like, his singing voice to me was excuse me. His singing voice was pretty good, but when he was talking, very hoarse. So I thought something was up with that. But like anything else, like the professional that he is, he pulls it together and he just gets right through it.
Well, Kevin knows how to bring the spirit of what the band is to the stage, and he and I had a chat actually before one of those shows, and that's what we were discussing. It's amazing how it really is just, especially in the classic rock idiom where people know these songs so well. Yeah. They really just want you to kind of reignite the spirit of what these songs do to people. Mm-hmm. And, as performers, we get very hung up on whether we can hit notes or not, or if we're under the weather. Yeah. And, anyway, that was maybe my favorite week ever to play in Florida. Those 3 shows in a row were 1, 2, 3. Just felt like all 3. So it just felt like a grand slam.
Now as
although I've never hit one.
now as a vocalist, as well as a musician, do you do anything to maintain your voice while you're on tour?
I try to keep healthy. That's really it. I mean, I try to get enough sleep is the biggest challenge, because you don't want the party to end. But so I have to kind of. There's a certain discipline that comes in at a certain point in your career where you go, I'm going to keep the party going until I drop. Yeah. And that happens to a good number of people, and God bless them. But we are a band that are very cognizant of the fact that there's a great responsibility with making sure the show is everything it can be for the people who've gone out of their way to come and see it and to enjoy it and to engage with the band. And we want it to be in as close to top form as possible. So that just means looking after ourselves, enough sleep, eating, healthy, vocal warm-ups with the band in the dressing room. So those are all part of the daily ritual. Good. And that means that we're kind of tuning ourselves up before we present ourselves to the audience. And so luckily I'm in a band of very like-minded people. If there were a couple of guys who didn't want to commit to that, it would make the whole enterprise a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now I got to ask you about your personal style. The clothing. I mean, you wear bright colors, really, really cool stuff. I mean, I really admire your style. Do you design any of your own clothing, or?
Good one. I really get asked about that. Again, we're a band that wants to present ourselves as best as possible, and something that feels as for classic rock, to my mind, because it stood the test of time. There's something approaching the regal in the level of it, and I think that addressing that, so to speak, is part of the presentation of a band.
Mm-hmm.
I love when young bands, you can see younger bands, they put a lot of effort into that because it's part of how they present their music. And for me, I just very often I'll just default to a designer. There's great designers out there that come up with things that look great on stage. The other guys in the band, Chuck is a great sounding board, for what works and what doesn't on stage. So I rely on him quite a bit. This particular run, I wanted something that connected with the mission.
Yeah.
As with the mission coming out, so I thought something that moves, something that's a little bit toward the uniform that we see on, in sci-fi things like Star Trek or like Star Wars or, Battlestar Galactica, something that looked a little uniform but not totally, and something that was bold, and I chose red, and I don't know what I was wearing at West Palm. Was it yellow or was it red?
It was yellow, man. It was a fantastic jacket, man. I was hoping you were just going to have that rock and roll moment, take it off, and just swing it out into the crowd. Because I was right there. I was ready to catch it.
Yeah, I really should have done that. If I wasn't so cheap, I probably would. No, the yellow is the. That's right. I broke that out. I think that was the first show where I changed from the red to the yellow. It was. I figured, look, we're in the Sunshine State, and this is definitely an effervescent color that. Perfect. Something that an astronaut might wear just so that he was, spotted. If he was stranded on Pluto, they might be able to see him. So that I thought of it that way. Actually, I was really pleased with finding those shoes that went along with it, though. They're Balenciaga shoes. They're coming out with greater and greater running shoes. I switched over from wearing, heavy boots on stage to wearing running shoes, and that's really helped a lot with with being able to kind of, leap tall buildings.
Single bound, yeah.
And not necessarily require an operation the next day. But anyway, I think as a band, we do a lot to prepare ourselves to get on stage. There's a lot of, and it's not all kind of prissy nonsense either. A lot of it is really, it's meditative in a weird way. I might be overstating this, but I think the audience responds to all of that. All of the, we just don't want to schlep on stage and kind of do anything half-assed until the mood strikes us. We want the mood to strike us in the dressing room 2 hours before we hit the stage, so that we're really hungry by the time we get out there. And that's, I have to say, if I weren't in a band that was like-minded as that, I wouldn't have lasted this long.
Yeah.
Todd, look at the level of Todd on drums.
I know.
That guy is on a practice pad for 2 hours before every single show.
No kidding.
So by the time people see him, he is so greased and ready to explode. He's just like that, and I can go through every member of the band, and to a man, it's exactly like that. There's a lot of, and we're in each other's space, and kind of there's a lot of the little things that need to be navigated before the band hits the stage is well looked after in STYX, and it's not. When I see other bands that are all in separate dressing rooms or don't get together prior to hitting the stage and kind of assess what's about to unfold, it can take a while for their shows to really kick in, so to speak. And I really am proud of the fact that we to use the cliche, we do hit the ground running at every show. Now, who does your hair? Do you do your own hair? That I usually leave to Jeannie, Tommy's wife, Jeannie Shaw. She,
because you have great hair, I got to tell you.
Yeah, she's never salon. And about 2 years ago, I got bored with where I was, which is what happens with people who've. I've got many an embarrassing hairstyle to look back on over the decades. But at the time, I thought it was great. And this is another one. I just told her do something unusual, and she came up with this. And when I looked at myself, I thought, wow, that's that's entirely different, and I think I'm going to commit to it.
Oh, I tell you, it's bold, and the minute you hit the stage, you see it, and I mean, it stands out. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It was a hard thing to suddenly realize. I definitely want to. Some of my I've got gigantic chunks of gray, and so I decided to put those next to purple streaks. So I think that'll be it'll be memorable anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you won't be wearing that when you're in your 80s or whatever, but but you never know.
I wouldn't have thought I'd be doing it at this point, but then again, when I was a young man, I didn't I couldn't foresee being able to do this for over 40 years now. I've been lucky. I mean, you really have to be lucky, and so if a wacky hairstyle is going to help me get one more day, I'm well into it.
well, it's like we were having a conversation the other day about you have these young girls today that are getting all tatted up. They have the sleeves going on and everything, and I'm thinking, when these ladies, are in their 70s, it's just going to look so odd, all these old ladies running around all tatted up, It's just going to be bizarre, but
I guess it is. But
yeah.
It's also, look, it's good to commit to something that defines your generation. And, I emerged, in the public scene anyway, in the early 1980s. And if you look back at that era, you'll see that the flock of seagulls type haircuts,
yes.
They just define an entire generation. So I wouldn't be surprised if one day we're all in, assisted living homes with some of the most outrageous mohawks in our heads. I'm
right. Well, let's talk about the new album, The Mission, man. Fantastic, yeah. And what's great is it doesn't waver, of course, from the STYX style of playing, and to me, it's got this great late 70s vibe to it. I don't know. That's what I'm getting from it. I mean, when you guys sit down and you say we're going to write an album, I mean, where do you start?
Well, it's incremental. It began with Tommy Shaw wrote that song "Mission to Mars." It began there, and then our producer on this album, and Willie Vankovich, he had to start on the song "Locomotive." Mm-hmm. The two of those things got kind of matched up together, and then I'll jump way ahead now. After about a year of the writing process, fleshing out the ideas, etc. As when we came together as a full band to make the record, we decided, okay, let's see how close can we make this record sound so that it resonates with the great STYX albums of the past.
Yeah. And
in order to do that, we decided, okay, we went into a studio in Nashville and we decided, let's pretend it's 1979. Mm-hmm. Shut your cell phones off. No digital technology.
Yes.
Because it doesn't exist. And let's record the way we did back then. Let's record on tape and use old machines that are noisy and clunky and have to hack through the performances until we get it.
Oh, so you guys went old school on this one.
That's what we did.
Nice.
That's why it sounds that way, is because it was made that way. And the songs, kind of fit with that paradigm. That's the other lucky thing, is if they didn't, I think the only unusual thing, not so much, is just there's one song towards the end of the album. There's a song called "The Outpost." It starts with an actual drum machine, but we made it sound more like a clunky machine that could be in a space capsule.
Yes.
So there's there was a concerted effort to make it feel and get the essence of 1979 in there, and people such as yourselves have responded to that, and we're hearing it every single day. People saying this record feels old, and yet it's also
exactly
fresh and new, and somehow a lot of that was by design, and a lot of it was just that we focused on it, and we felt the same way about it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys did a few of those selections on this show as well, which is great, because I'm sure some people haven't heard the album yet.
That's That's it. Yeah. That's why we're being careful in these big shows. You know, people want to hear the they want to hear, you know, Grand Illusion and Renegade and Blue Collar Man. So of course we're going to play those, but we were able to kind of slip in a couple of the new ones without disrupting the show to where people are getting up and going to the washroom. It flows easily, and I have to say, it got particularly radio silence in the middle of the show is going over as if it was a classic song from decades ago.
Right.
So it's very, very gratifying to hear that response.
Well, Lawrence, so what after this tour is finished, what's next for you?
Well, we're going to, when this tour is done, we always do, we continue on. It'll be more of an evening with STYX, so we'll go back to our more like closer to 2-hour show through the fall. And it's likely that if the record continues on the pace that it's at now, that more and more of the mission will begin to make its way onto the stage and stand alongside the lexicon of great STYX songs of the past.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of all of that, then I think that's towards the end of November. Then I begin my solo tour. In Canada, I have a lot of I had a long career before joining STYX, where I had several platinum and gold records and a greatest hits album, and I have a lot of people there that enjoy those tours as well. So looking forward to that. But that's a very brief thing at the end of the year, and then it's right back to STYX again. Yeah.
And you guys got the cruises and stuff that you do as well.
That's next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually we usually play on the ship when it's in port, so we treat it like a regular gig. Now we're able to bring more of our stuff on board and make sure the show is really strong. So I don't know exactly what's happening on the Jamaican one, but I'm really looking forward to it because I've never been to Jamaica.
Wow, me neither. So we'll have to coordinate and get together.
It's time.
Any of your
Jamaica time.
any of your solo dates coming down to Florida?
No, they're all in Canada. They're all like Niagara Falls and Toronto and down toward Windsor, toward right across the border from Detroit. They're not in the States, but mainly because my solo records weren't released in the U.S. So people here, STYX fans, a good number of them have gone back and looked into my solo catalog, and they know it, and they come up for the shows. I bring Todd Zuckerman to play drums, on my solo things, etc. But no, I played one solo show in the U.S., but I did it entirely just me on piano. That was in Baltimore last year, and that went really well. So hopefully, maybe in the future there'll be a little bit more of that. I don't know.
All right, great. Well, continued success on this tour, and of course with the mission. And safe travels to you and the guys on the road. And I thank you so much for taking time out, especially on a Sunday morning, to talk with us.
Well, listen, great to talk to you, Bill. What else would I be doing on a Sunday morning?
Brunch, maybe, or?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go get to that immediately.
All right, great. And hopefully next time you pass through town, we can come back and can introduce myself to you guys.
All right, Mr. Hernandez. Great.
All right, cheers, man. Have a great one, Lawrence.
Yeah, you too. All the best.
Likewise. Bye, buddy.